to another episode of Significant Coaching with Matt Rogers, the podcast where we dive into the stories, insights, and strategies shaping the next generation of athletes, coaches, and leaders. I'm your host, Matt Rogers, and today we have an incredible guest who's making waves both on and off the field. Joining us is Amelia Streuber, a 2025 Division I softball commit to Oregon State University. Amelia has not only excelled as an athlete, but has also become a powerful voice in the recruiting world. Her candid and insightful posts about her journey to securing a D1 commitment have gone viral on Twitter. She offers advice, encouragement, and a roadmap for her peers navigating the same path. In this episode, we'll discuss Amelia's personal recruiting story, the highs and lows of the process, and how she's used social media to inspire and guide others. We're also going to dive into her thoughts on the future of softball, what it means to commit to a top program, and her advice for athletes who dream of playing at the collegiate level. If you're an athlete, a parent, or a coach, you won't want to miss this conversation. Amelia's journey is proof that with hard work, authenticity, and the right mindset, great things can happen. So sit back, take notes, and get ready to be inspired. Let's welcome Amelia Streuber to Significant Coaching. Oh there, Miss Amelia. So nice to see you finally.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
I get so many referrals from college coaches to interview other college coaches, and it's great because college coaches, we know who's really good and who's got something to say, but you're the first recruit that a Division I coach has said, Matt, you got to interview her. Where did this
Really?
come from? Yeah, and it wasn't even a coach you're going to play for.
That's so funny. I didn't even know that.
Yes. Yeah. So I had a conversation with a Division I softball coach a couple weeks ago, and she said, have you been following this girl that's going to Oregon State? And I go, no. So she got me connected to start paying attention to you. I started reading all that you were doing, and it was really impressive. So where did all this come from? Where did this desire to teach and mentor and share your wisdom?
Honestly, it was just like a practical decision for me because people had been messaging me individually and I have had to keep on saying like the same thing over and over again as to what worked for me recruiting, what didn't work, what I thought was better, what I didn't think, just my opinion on things. And then I just thought about it. I was like, you know what? Maybe I should just do a post if people keep on messaging me about it. And then it just completely exploded. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know that this was so controversial to everyone. I thought I was just saying what everybody was thinking, but I guess people don't know the truth or just my opinion. I just thought that it was something that everyone knew, but nobody talked about.
Yeah, I've been a head college coach and athletic director for the better part of 25
Uh-huh.
years. And then I was a scout for 10 years. And I'm still surprised how many times I'll talk to a family and I'll just bring up something really basic and they'll go, oh, we didn't know we could do that. We didn't know that was our job. We
Mhm.
didn't know that we could do that with college coaches. So I love the fact that you're teaching, you're mentoring, and there's a lot of kids your age that just want the likes, want the attention, just want
Mhm.
somebody to see them. And you're not doing that.
No,
You,
that
you're,
wasn't the
you're,
plan.
you're on a mission. Where does
Mhm.
that value system come from to say, you know what? I've learned some things. I'm going to share it. I don't want other kids to go through I don't want them to fail. I don't want them to make mistakes and have regrets. Where does that come from?
While I was going through the recruiting system, I just really wished that I had someone to tell me. I had to figure it all out. Like my family had to figure it all out by ourselves
Yeah.
just because we didn't have someone to advocate for us. I guess I'm the guinea pig. So I'm telling people, hey, like I did this and it worked out perfect for me. I'm happy where I'm at, but you don't have to go at it the same way and you can get the same result. So that was my thought process
I love
with
it.
the whole thing.
I love learning new things about recruiting, and I've been doing it forever. I that's why I love talking to college coaches and talking to recruits like you and kids that are playing in college, because there's always something different. There's always a different path you can take. And I think the key to recruiting, and tell me if I'm wrong, is just really making sure it's your path.
Mm.
Just because she had success or he had success doesn't mean it's going to work for me. Is
Mhm.
that true in
Yes.
your eyes?
Yes, I totally agree. I don't know if that's just because my parents are amazing or what, but
Sounds like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'd see people, getting recruited around me, and even my mom would be like, "Oh my god, like I feel so behind." And I'd be like, "Yeah, it's fine. Good for them."
right.
Like everyone's different, but I noticed that some of my teammates would it really got to them just mentally, and I just thought that was so interesting. I was like, "Why doesn't it bother me?" But I think I was just confident in my ability, and I knew that I could play at the D1 level. I just had to get there.
Yeah.
So,
When you think about what you're about to do, when you're gonna
mhm.
go to Oregon State in August, how much of this dream that is about to come true for you, how much of it started with just your love of the game?
I think a big chunk of it was when I started in 8U. And my team just we went undefeated as an AU team. I was picking grass in the outfield and doing cartwheels, but I was like, this is amazing. Like we're winning all the time and I'm not even doing anything. So I think I just really just fell in love with winning. And then later on, I think what kept me in love with softball was I fell in love with the process and seeing how like what I did in the weight room and stuff outside of it, changing my mechanics really contributed to my performance. And I just thought that was super cool.
Are there little things that you made changes in that you think were really effective in terms of your training?
Yeah, I really think that box jumps or any jumping wise, because my pitching is such an explosive movement
Yeah,
and I'm so short. So I really need to use my legs. So just tons of explosive weightlifting. And I noticed that speed work actually contributed to my speeds jumping up a ton.
yeah,
And because when you think about it, you're in a sprinting position when you're pitching and you're
yeah.
exploding off the mound. So really working on like just my running form all the time. Not one, like it made me faster for sure, just in general and more athletic. But two, it just really helped me throw harder. And I think that was what caught coach's eyes later on was the threshold that I met later.
That's so great. That's a great
Mhm,
analogy because it is. It's very much like a sprinter coming out of the
mhm,
gates. That first step is so important. It's so explosive, so
mhm,
long, and all your weight has to come behind it and
mhm,
go because you want to be at full speed when that ball is released from your hand. So I can see the same technique with
mhm,
running backs for football. You can see that same techniques with soccer players trying to
mhm,
explode. So I love that. That's really good.
mhm.
When did you decide you wanted to play at the next level?
I don't even know if it was a decision. I almost feel like I just got thrown into it. I don't remember like a specific time where I was like, I need to go play softball in college. I think I just really liked what I was doing and I liked that I was good at it. I liked winning, and then we started going to camps just because like my parents just put me in camps because they thought that I wanted to play in college. And then I think really when I realized, oh, this is really what I want to do was actually this past summer, which is interesting to me because I was just like, I just really love working out and seeing how it contributes to everything else. I think it was just really me falling in love with pushing myself where I was like, okay, this is what I want to do in the future.
That's really cool. That's really cool. And I love you had a post recently where you knew Oregon State when you were in a golf cart. It was a
Hmm.
dreary day, right? I'll
Hmm.
let you tell the story, but it's so important for I think other kids to hear
Hmm.
why you chose Oregon State too. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so people would always tell me, yeah, you know when you know. And I was just, oh, that's BS. Like, I'll go wherever I get the best offer. It's not about that. But it really was. Like, as soon as I stepped on a campus, I was like, wow. I was like, this is beautiful. And I really, the food was great. I'm a big foodie, so that was good
Too.
too. I just really loved the coaches and the vibe that they had. The campus was very safe, very college town, which is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just really just loved the area. I just thought it was beautiful. And I think because I live in Arizona and it's so dry and all that stuff, I think just the whole like it was a whole 180. And I was like, wow, this is so different. And I was so like interested in just what it would be like to live there.
Yeah. That's why the visits are so important.
Hmm.
The campus will talk to you. It'll tell
Hmm.
you this is home. This is where
Hmm.
you belong. And it's so cool to have you go through that experience and share
Hmm.
that. That's really awesome. Uh, What have you learned? Are there two or three things that you've learned about yourself during your recruitment journey? that kind of surprised you? Are you glad you know about you now?
I guess like I think surrounding myself with people that had the same goals as me really just kept me focused. Like I have one or two really close friends and they both work out with me and I just love being with that select group of people. And I think some people are like, oh yeah, like I need a ton of friends to feel like I'm confident in myself, but I'm totally fine with only having one or two friends that have the same goals as me as long as we get where we're wanting to get. And I think I found a ton of confidence in the sport. Let's see what else. I love the way like my body moves now after working out. I just feel like a rubber band. I feel like I can run forever. So it's just like an awesome feeling to be able to run a mile and be like, "Oh, I could do that again." And just never being tired. I always love doing something. I'm very busy all the time.
Great. That's
Yeah.
great. Do you think that's who you are no matter if you were playing sports or doing dance or doing gymnastics or going through engineering? Do you think you'd be that same person, or do you think sports helped you figure those things out about yourself?
I okay, that's funny that you mentioned that because I've always wondered. I'm like, what kind of person would I be without softball? Like at all. And I really don't think I'd be the same person, honestly. I
Yeah,
think softball, since it's especially with pitching, it's very individualistic,
yeah.
but you also have the team aspect. So you can really see how much you contribute to a team as a pitcher, which I love having control.
It's a lot
So
of
I
pressure too, right?
yeah, it is a lot of pressure. So some people would be like, "Oh, like I would hate that. That's so like hard like mentally." But to me it's just something I do now and I just love being able to help my team. I'm totally fine with sitting on the bench too, but I get antsy. I'm like, "Oh, like I
Yeah,
don't have any control over the outcome." So I think it's cool that softball as a pitcher, you have that aspect as like kind of an individual and you can see your progress, but then you also have the aspect like of a team. Whereas swimming or something like tennis, it's very like just you, or
yeah,
soccer, you don't know where the ball is going to go. So I just think it's best of both worlds.
yeah. That's cool. Have
hmm
you always been that way? Have you always wanted the ball?
hmm
Yeah,
I think so. Like even in 8U when I didn't pitch, I'd be pitching in the outfield with no ball.
yeah.
So I think my dad was like, okay, well, I guess next season we're gonna try that. And then he got sucked in too, and now it's all we know.
It's all
So
pitching all the time. I love it.
hmm
When you talk about eight, you're 17 or 18 now. Are you 18 yet?
no, I turned 18 in February.
Okay. When's your birthday?
February 13th.
Oh, you're 8 days before me. I'm a 21st.
Mm.
Love it.
Ah.
February here. All right. So most kids, and,
Mhm.
and I'll say 80, 90% of the kids, when they start that young and it's that many games, that many practices, that much devotion, they lose their love for it. They get burned
Mhm.
out. What's kept you passionate about this sport for so long, for 9, 10 years now? Can you pinpoint it?
Yeah. So it's funny. Sometimes, so I think there's a difference between motivation and discipline. Not, you're not going to have motivation every single day, right? I think once you really build it into your routine, it's just okay. I can't do anything else before I do this. Like I can't go hang out with my friends until I have a 30-minute bullpen at least. I think that has really helped me just being like, this is what I'm doing. This is my job. And that's helped me. And then on days where I don't have as much motivation, I'm just like, oh, like I just want to break. I really don't want to do this. I'll bribe myself, which is it's a
Give me
little
an
expensive.
give me an example. I love it. I love where you're
Like
going
I'll
with it.
go like a couple days ago, I was like, oh, I don't want to pitch today. I'm so tired. And I was like, you know what? I have a free Dutch Bros pass on my thing. I'm gonna go get Dutch Bros. So that's my trade in. If I go get Dutch Bros, then I have to do this.
Okay.
Or my friend actually, she used to hate working out, did not want to do it at all. And then I finally got her to start going with me to like speed work and explosive weightlifting because I just thought it'd be I'm like, this has changed my life. This would be great for you. I started bribing her with, okay, so I know this great street tacos place. Like, we'll go there after this. So now, one, she loves street tacos, and it's an unhealthy obsession. And then two, she loves working out. So I've just noticed that tying in like things like for me, food have really helped me just be like, okay, like we're doing this.
Amelia, I hate to tell you this. I don't know if this is going to get you excited or frustrated, but I think you're going to be on the podcast again in about 5 or 6 years as a college coach. The way
Oh
you talk,
gosh.
I think that's your future if you want to go down that road. You think like a coach, you talk like a coach, you're self motivated like a coach. I can definitely see that in you.
Oh no. My dad asked me today in the car if I'd want to be a college coach, and I was like, absolutely not. So that's funny that you said that. We'll see. But
Things
I don't
happen,
know. I
especially
don't
with this
know.
coaching staff you're about to go play
Mhm.
for. You're playing for some good ones, so I'm excited
Yeah,
for you.
it's true.
I
Yeah.
want to get in. I want to get into recruiting. I want you to share a little bit of your knowledge, and really, I want people to hear why they should be following you on social media. If you're a parent or you're a student athlete of any sport, you don't have to just be a softball player. What are some of the lessons you've learned in recruiting that you think if I my daughter is 15 and she's thinking about starting her recruitment, what are some of the advice you'd give to a kid who's thinking about going down that journey? Where should they begin?
Where should they begin? Ooh. For me, it's not necessarily a regret because I like where I'm at now, but it was expensive. I think I started camps way too early. I started in 8th grade. I don't think that was necessary because they're not looking at you. I understand like some skills camps. If you want to do that every once in a while, I think that's great. But I think the key with camps is you need to really start going to the colleges that you want to go to when you're recruitable. And that's hard to tell when you're recruitable, but I'd say I was throwing low 60s most of the times. I was keeping up, I was being competitive. I wasn't mowing
At
people
what
down
age were you hitting
necessarily.
low 60s?
Low 60s, I'd say like freshman year of
Wow,
high
that's
school.
really impressive.
Yeah, which for me it's impressive, but I'm still not with in the category that they have already on their campus.
Yeah,
I can compete at that age, but since I'm so short, college coaches don't see that growing very much.
yeah,
Whereas if there's someone that's 6 foot next to me doing the exact same thing, they're like, oh, like we're gonna focus on her
yeah,
because she has a lot of room to grow. You
yeah.
know.
You've got to prove that you can change
Mhm.
your height on your pitches more than that girl that's
Mhm.
6'1". She's going to get
Exactly.
a little bit better on her drop
Mhm.
ball. How tall are you?
I'm 5'3".
Wow, that is
Mhm.
really rare at that level. I didn't know
Mhm.
you were that size.
I know.
So
It's a struggle.
so let's talk about that because
Mhm.
you're not the prototype Division One
Mhm.
or Division 2 pitcher
No. Yeah,
in
right?
any shape or form. Okay, so what did you do to get these coaches' attention to say, I'm worth your time. I'm worth your
Mhm.
time at 5'3". Pay attention.
Mhm.
How
Mhm.
did that go for you?
So, what I really noticed was my command has always been good. I was always able to hit my spots, but there's a certain threshold where I started throwing, I think it was like 64, 65 consistently in games where college coaches were watching. And then they, even if they didn't have a radar gun, their eyes are trained. They know speeds. So they could tell that I was throwing harder, but it was just that little bit of speed where I was like topping out at 66, where I started getting calls and messages about visits. So my command didn't change at all, but my speed was just a little bit up higher where it was like, okay, she can compete at the next level. And if we put her in the weight room, we'll get a couple extra miles an hour with. So I think that was huge for me.
Were you finding coaches talking more about the fact that you could throw multiple pitches for strikes, that you could move your pitches right, left, up, down, or did they always come back to that speed, or was it a combination of all those things?
I honestly, I think it was a combination, but a lot of times we like that you're not afraid to throw inside to batters,
Love
which I
that.
thought was interesting because at that time I was playing with a brand new team coach because it was just for that weekend. I was just picking up with them because the GCU coach had asked me to because he wanted to watch me play and we weren't in that tournament and it was that whole thing. But I noticed a lot of coaches were like, "Hey, it's really cool that you're not afraid to throw like into batters." And I was like, "That's such an interesting thing to say as to like why you would want me." I didn't know that was a thing that coaches were really looking for. But that tournament, I was really doing opposites all the time, which I think was impressive. Like I'd come in with a screwball, then go with curveball, go rise ball outside, then change up inside, like just stuff like that. And I think people were impressed with not only my command, but it was the fact that I did have that speed that really started dominating people instead of just competing with them.
There's one thing to have speed, but what these coaches were
Mhm,
telling you, I think, is really poignant. You're
mhm,
not afraid to use that speed and control that
mhm,
speed and say, listen, I'm coming in on you. If you want to
mhm,
be up on the plate,
mhm,
okay, I'm bringing it. I'm bringing it. I'm going
mhm,
to bring it to your hands. And it
mhm.
is, it's really rare. And that's a really special quality in a pitcher. Do you see yourself as an intimidator on the mound?
People have described me as a bulldog, which
Yeah.
I didn't really know. When I'm pitching, I am locked in. I can't hear anything outside. The only voice I have ever been able to hear is my best friend's dad, Mr. Ted Herman, and I
Right.
don't think I will ever be able to get his voice out of my head. He's got a voice that carries really well, and
Yeah.
he's our announcer for CDO, and he does a great job. But I convinced him to do it because I'm like, you're the one voice I can't get out of my head when you're
Is he
talking. And
really, has he always been really supportive of you?
yes, he has. His daughter has been my best friend since we were 8.
That's great.
So, yeah, he's amazing. I love him and his daughter too. They're all amazing.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
really great. All right. Now, eh, this is a hard question because if
Mhm,
somebody were to watch you walk onto a softball field, they probably wouldn't think Division 1
mhm,
pitcher, Division 1 recruit,
mhm,
but you do have talent and it shines. And obviously, a lot of coaches saw it and believed in you, and a major Power 4 coaching staff
mhm,
believed in you and made you an offer. There's a lot of kids out there that don't have that talent, that aren't hitting 62 or 66 or 67,
mhm.
but they're good. They got the chance to go play Division 3, to go play some NAI, maybe get on a junior college roster for a couple years. Is recruiting different for those kids in your eyes if they don't have your high level of talent?
That's interesting because I don't know. Because as a kid, yeah, I had talent, but if I had just not been practicing my craft, I wouldn't be going D1. I spent hours and hours. Since 8th grade, my dad and I would go in because we were night owls. So we'd go into my garage at 9 p.m., get done at 11, and then we'd still, like, just to make it fun, we'd watch a movie or something, which probably wasn't great for my sleep schedule,
Yeah,
but it was during COVID. So I actually, that's a good point too. COVID, I think, really helped me.
you had nothing
Um,
else to do and nowhere else
mhm.
to go.
Yeah, I just worked on myself, and I think that is when I started being like, okay, yeah, this is good for me. I think I'm really like improving, whereas other people just were like, oh, we're not playing. I'm just gonna sit down and do nothing. But I'm just like, I need something to do.
Yeah.
For other kids, it's so hard to tell because I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. I don't know how hard they work. But some people are late bloomers too. Some people gain speeds later on because I've
Yeah.
noticed with some tall people, their arm doesn't go around as fast. Like I'm short and I have a short arm, so my arm
Yeah.
can,
You got a
go
great
around
whip.
pretty fast.
Yeah.
But I think for some tall people, they still need to grow into their bodies, and then they have to start working out to gain muscle, which is where the speeds really start coming in. It's just, I think it's everyone's different,
Yeah.
so it's just hard.
I love it because you're the prototype that us coaches always talk about.
Mhm,
That if you really want it, doesn't matter what you were given, what God gave you. If you really want it, you can make it true and you can make it
mhm,
happen if you want to put the work into it. And I always tell kids, I always use this phrase, I just decided to.
mhm,
You have to fill in the blanks. What
mhm,
are you going to decide to do? What are you going to decide to be? And you decided you were going to be a great pitcher
mhm.
and you've put your time and your energy into it, right? Is it frustrating for you when your teammates aren't putting that same effort in?
That's funny actually that you mentioned that. I had a conversation with my pitching coach today about that, and me and my friend Molly, we're going to sit down at lunch and talk about how we want to lead into really being focused because we have so much talent on that team. And I really want to win state this year because we've been so close. I just think we need that extra push. I wouldn't say it's sometimes it's frustrating when people don't want to work hard, but I'm just like, okay, Amelia, focus on yourself. You're going to college. Once you get there, it's all filtered out for you. Everyone there wants to work
Yeah.
because if they didn't, they wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what it's like when I'm in college, but I have a feeling that from the based off of the recruits that I've talked to that are coming in with my class, I think we really want to work hard and we really want to make sure that OS puts it out there.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see what we do when we step on campus.
Has your leadership desires, your desire to be a leader, has that changed going into this year? Or have you always had that mindset? I'm going to push my team. I'm going to be that role model. I'm going to be that leader by example. I'm not going to be afraid to be vocal. Has it changed now that you're a senior?
I think it has changed a little bit. I think before I was more of a silent leader, like I try to lead by example, but as a freshman, I can't be telling seniors, "Hey, you need to step it up," because I'm down here and they're like up here. There's a certain level where it's okay, I can't speak my mind. But I think now with the level of maturity that I've gotten throughout playing, I think I'm ready to start telling people like what's up and hey, like we need to be doing this right now, not this. So
Yeah. Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
All right.
But
So I talked to you in a year. You're at OSU. You're a
mhm,
freshman
mhm.
going into your first season at OSU. Are you going to revert back to that high school freshman? Or are you going to remember what you just told me? Your maturity, you get it, your work ethic. Are you still going to be afraid to speak up to seniors?
I don't think I'd be afraid to speak up to them, but it's like it's a different level. I don't know if I'm going to have to
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
everyone there wants to work. So it depends on the personalities because once you get there, again, everything's already filtered out. Almost everyone I'm certain wants to be there and wants to win and wants to work out.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there'll be a group of people who's hey, let's do it, guys, and brings the energy, which I'm totally fine with being one of those people.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna be like a super bossy person or anything like that. I just want my team to be competitive and I want them to want to win.
Do you have any freshmen that are going to be on varsity this year?
I don't know. It's up in the air. If someone comes up and shows out, that'd be awesome because that was me freshman year. I have no problem with freshmen being on the team. I think that's awesome for them. I think diversity is great. We had a couple freshmen on the team last year and they were amazing. If you have talent and you have the work ethic and you want to bring it, I'm totally down with that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a freshman on the team now that you're a senior? And would you pull them aside and say, hey, I'm here? What would you say to them?
I'd say, ooh, that's hard because I think an issue I had, I thought that I was a super confident person going in, but I had never played in front of a crowd before. I thought that was shell shocking to me. I was like, oh my God, like now I have anxiety. Didn't
Hey,
even know I had that. I think really just making sure that they focus on blocking everything out. It's just you and the people who are on the field. Don't pay attention to anyone that's outside. I think that's super important because just playing calm and collected, I think that's, I don't know how you decide that, okay, I'm just going to focus on like the catcher's mitt and I'm not going to listen to anybody else. I
yeah,
don't know how you flip that switch.
that's a skill,
Um,
isn't it?
yeah, you have to learn it. I would just say, just be patient. It'll come. Just try to be as relaxed as you can be, because when you're relaxed, you play your best, in my opinion.
Did anybody do that for you when you were a freshman?
Um, I I don't know. I think one time I did have a bad game, and I was crying. And
Right.
someone pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, you're okay. You're fine." I'm not a crier. I've That's never happened to me before. I've never cried about a game. That's just not me. And she's like, "This isn't. You're gonna be okay. You're gonna go back up there and you're gonna do great." And I felt much better. So
Right.
there was one person who definitely helped me, but besides that, I pretty much had to dig deep and learn it all on my own.
One of the things I always tell high school kids is to be the leader you wish somebody would have been for you.
Mhm.
And you sound like you're that person, like you buy into that.
Mhm.
How important is it for you to set that tone and have those individual conversations with the freshmen, the sophomores, the juniors, and just say, hey, I'm here for you. I got your back. When you need to talk, I'm here. Is that important for all senior leaders to do? Or can you be just a leader by example and be a good friend and that's enough?
I think it depends. I think this year we have a lot of seniors. So there's room to have multiple roles on the team.
Okay.
Someone can be a cheerleader in the dugout, somebody can be a leader on the field, the catcher can be super vocal. If you have a lot of seniors who all want to be a leader, they can take on different roles, which I think is great for a team. But last year we only had 3. So when there's that, you have a higher level of responsibility that you need to take. And
Yeah,
I think sometimes taking into account like all those qualities and really trying to help like your younger teammates, I think that's super important. It just depends on the dynamic of the team.
that's great. I think that's a great perspective. You got to know your place, but you got to know your numbers. You got to know where everybody's at. There has to
Mhm.
be a level of respect there across the board. So sounds like you have a great depth of empathy for everybody you work with and play with. I love that. I want to bring it back to recruiting a little bit.
Okay.
Are you a proponent of kids emailing and calling coaches?
Yes. I think that's important. I emailed all the time. I'd probably send out 10 emails a night, like a week for a long time. Not that a lot, nothing really came out of a lot of them, but one email really did change my life and I almost didn't send it. So I'm super thankful that I did. There was a night where I was like, Coach Hayes from GCU isn't opening my emails. They're not interested. So maybe I'll just stop emailing them. And then I thought about it. I was like, okay. I was like, but we're up in Phoenix. We're really close to GCU. I was like, I'll just send it. And then immediately emailed me back and said, we'll be watching. And I was like, because that had never happened before. And that's what got the whole ball rolling. And that's why I'm at OSU. So I just think it's important to send out those emails because you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I do think having the coach's phone number and being able to text them, I think that's important too because it comes directly. With email, like you can go into spam or they have to filter through. But I noticed with emails, if I put like a specific subject in there, not just my name and that I'm right-handed and then a picture or what team I'm on. If I had a really good outing and I had 45 strikeouts in a weekend, I'll
Yeah.
put 45 Ks, Amelia Streuber, 2025 right-handed pitcher. And I noticed that got a lot more opens.
Good.
So
I
I
love that.
thought that was interesting for sure. But
Good. Did you ever follow up your email with phone calls to their office?
no, but I don't know if OSU remembers this, but I couldn't find their email anywhere. I don't know why. I just wasn't able to contact them. And then my dad was like, what if you just call their office? And we were in the car on the way to, I think, USC camp. So we were driving to California. And I was just like, I've never called a college coach before. It was so bad. I really hope that they do not have that call because halfway through it, I was like, because I totally messed up. Like, I sounded like someone was threatening me on the other line to make that phone call. Like, I was so nervous. I was like, this sounds horrible. And then
Oh,
after,
that's
I was
great.
just like, I was it was horrendous. And I told my dad, I was like, I just hung up. And I was like, I don't know what to do. And he's like, you can either call them again and say that you're going for round 2,
Yeah.
or you can just never call them again and disappear. And I was like, half of me wanted to never call them again and disappear because it was super embarrassing. But then I thought
Right.
about it. I was like, okay, he's probably right. I should just be like, let's make
Yeah.
a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Let's make them think I'm funny. So I called them and I said, all right, I'm hoping that you guys deleted the last message, but we're going for round 2. Basically, all I wanted to tell you guys is that I'm very interested in your program and I don't have your email. I'm playing in this tournament. If you guys want to come watch me. And then I just explained a little bit about myself. I said I'm a little bit shorter, but I'm really competitive and I'm really good at hitting my spots. So I was like, essentially, that's all I wanted to tell you.
Here's what you got to understand why that
Mhm.
phone call was so important.
Mhm.
They know you're real. They
Mhm.
heard your emotion. They heard
Mhm.
your passion.
Mhm.
Okay. They know you were 16 years old, so they knew you were
Yeah.
nervous. Didn't affect
Yeah.
them at all. I promise you. And
Yeah.
even though you've signed there and you know that they love you now,
Mhm.
but I want all kids to hear this.
Mhm.
Coaches want you and they want to learn about you. An
Mhm.
email, they don't get to know your character. They don't get to know
Mhm.
your tone and your passion. Heck, your mom could have wrote the email. But when
Exactly.
you're on that phone, be yourself, be genuine. And that's why I do mock
Mhm.
phone calls with all my kids. Any kid I work
Mhm.
with on the recruiting,
Mhm.
we practice. We just get
Mhm.
them comfortable. And what you said to Oregon State on that second call, I'm interested in you. I'd like to know if you'd be interested in me. I love this game. I feel like I'm pretty good. I'd love to talk. Come watch me play if you'd like.
Mhm.
Okay. That's all they need.
Yeah.
That's all a
Mhm.
coach needs to get excited about you.
Mhm.
And obviously they did.
Yeah. I don't know because it was I left a message basically both times.
Yeah.
So I know that it went to Sarah, who's who helps them out. But I'm
Yeah.
just like when I went on my visit, my dad reminded me, he's, oh, remember when you called them? And I was like, Oh my God. I was like, I really
Thanks,
hope that they
Dad.
didn't. Yeah, I was like, I really hope they do not know that was the same person. So I don't know if they know, but now they will that we're putting this out there, but that's okay.
Well, again, the humanity of that call
Mhm.
is so important. And it's not like you were saying, "Hey, I'm looking for some NIL money and I'm
Mhm.
looking, seeing what you can give me." You were saying, "Hey, I love this game. I'm really interested in you. I'd like to know if you're interested in me." That's all a coach needs to hear,
Mhm.
to go back and find your email that you sent, right? And
Mhm.
say, "Oh, wow, she can throw. There's some good film here. She's
Mhm.
hitting good numbers. She can hit her spots." So I can't tell you how many times my kids over the years have emailed the coach and they drug their feet to call the coach. And then eventually they would call and the coach would go, "We never got your email."
Mhm.
"Oh, it's in my junk folder. So sorry. I'm so glad you
Mhm.
called. You can
Mhm.
play." So
Mhm.
I love that message. And I'm glad that your dad encouraged you to do that. And I'm
Mhm.
glad you found the confidence to do that again. That's great. Let's talk about, I know you're going to win a state championship this year and you're really
Mhm.
focused on the next 6 months, getting your high school team there. Have you started to think about what that transition from high school to college is going to be like, and mentally and emotionally where you want to put yourself?
Yeah, it hasn't really hit me yet that I'm leaving because everyone's, "Oh, are you nervous to leave?" And I was like, "No, not yet, but sure, when May comes around, I'm going to be a mess
Yeah,
because I love it here. I'm very happy with where I'm at. So
good.
it's going to be interesting to see how I manage moving away from home. It's a dice roll, but
You're going to do great.
yeah, I think as long as I'm keep doing what I'm doing and I still am working hard and working at it, I think I won't have a problem. It's more so just leaving my family and the people I know here.
That's great.
Think, yeah,
Yeah, that's hard. It's
yeah,
always going to be hard, but they're not going anywhere.
yeah.
You're gonna be home for the holidays. You're gonna be home
Mhm,
for the summers. You're gonna they're gonna be able to watch you play on TV and on
mhm,
all that, and you're gonna be able to talk. So you're gonna do great.
mhm,
You just went through this great recruiting cycle.
mhm,
You made your decision. You chose your school. If I could get you in a room with 1,200 college softball coaches, and
mhm.
they wanted to hear your advice on what you learned about recruiting and what you wish would have happened differently, or what you wish college coaches would be more aware of, what advice would you give those college coaches?
I'd say for all the future athletes, I think brutal honesty is so important because I know so many people who not only either got ghosted or just like there's a lack of communication and it just completely wasted their time and money. And I understand, yes, camps, you need it to fund your program, but if you're done recruiting that class, like if you're done with recruiting 2025s, for example, don't put out invites to 2025s. Hey, we want to see you come out to our camp because that just messes with people. I think something that's great that U of A does, I don't know if other places do this, but they would do like a holiday clinic for little kids for a
Yeah,
skills camp, which I'm like, that's perfect because one, it helps the kids and it gets them super excited and you teach them things. And then two, everyone's happy. So it's worth the people's money. And yes, like you can learn things at recruitment camps, but you are there to play in front of college coaches and you are there to get recruited.
that's
So
right.
I think just brutal honesty is so important. And I wish coaches were more honest.
Yeah,
Because I know one of my like friends from a while ago, the college told them like, hey, like we're interested, like an offer's coming. We're just trying to figure out the budget. Then radio silent. And it's you're not the coaches aren't being honest because you could be number 6 on their list.
yeah,
If you just say that, but their college coaches are so worried, oh, we don't know what's going to happen in the future. If we tell
yeah,
this girl that they're like fifth or sixth on our list, like they're going to go look somewhere else. But I'm like, yes, they should be looking somewhere else because you are not 100% devoted in them. They
that's
should be
right.
going somewhere it's 100,
That's
not
right.
just 50-50.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think
I'm
that's important.
I'm with you. It's fantastic advice. And all coaches need to hear this. It doesn't matter what sport, they all need to hear it. Be brutally
Mhm,
honest. Say, this is where
mhm,
we're at. We're not ready to make a decision yet. We've got a couple of the girls that we're going to make some offers to, or we got some offers out.
mhm,
And, but we encourage you to keep looking. But we definitely love your game and we think you can play here. But right now, we're not ready to make an offer to you. You
yeah.
know, in 3 months, that may
Mhm,
change, but We'd love to keep talking to you, but right now we've got some girls ahead of you. Okay.
Mhm.
I complimented you by telling you can play at my level, which is great for you to hear.
Right.
Where I stand, okay, there's still a chance I can play there,
Mhm.
but I need to keep looking. Now you keep your energy where it needs to be. So I
Mhm.
think it's great advice.
Yeah.
It's right on. So,
Mhm.
and I train these coaches and I consult with these athletic departments. I tell them the same things. Just be honest. You can't lose when you're honest. So I love the advice. Keep it up. Keep sharing it. There, you got coaches listening to you, believe it or not. So keep it
I
up.
know. It's crazy. I didn't know.
Yeah,
I really
yeah.
was not expecting it to blow up the way it did, but I'm glad that it's helping people.
It is. And it's
So,
not just helping families, it's helping coaches. They're
mhm.
listening to you, they're taking heed, they're paying attention to the detail that you're talking about. And again, you're adding a humanity to recruitment that
Mhm.
sometimes when you're looking at 400 or 500 girls over the course of a year and a half, you lose that connection, you lose the humanity.
Mhm.
So the more the coaches take a step back and go, okay, I got to get to know this kid a little bit better. I got to make sure we're responding a little bit faster to emails and calls and things like that. So I love it. All right, one of your coaches next year
Mhm.
is a viral dude or as
Yep.
well. Have you started working on your dad jokes for Coach Lyle? Because I know he's got a tendency to start practices with making everybody bring a dad joke. Have you
Oh,
started?
I didn't even
Yeah,
nope, I didn't know that.
you go back and listen to the episode where he and I talked about that.
Oh
So
gosh. Yeah, I don't identify as a dad yet, so I haven't really practiced. My dad says some pretty bad ones that I will not be bringing to practice. When I went on my visit, I didn't know that Coach Lyle and the dad jokes were the same guy. Like I'd see him on TikTok all the time and I'd be like, "Oh, this is funny."
yeah,
And then we were in a room alone with him and my mom showed me like a video. "Hey, look at this, like it's him." And I was like, "That's you?" So I'm like, everyone else knows that this guy is like famous, and
yeah,
I'm just over here. Oh yeah, his. It just shows how down to earth Coach Lyle is. So
he
I
is.
just think that's awesome. But it was just such a funny moment where I was like, "You guys are the same person? Like,
I know it.
what?"
It's so funny, Amelia. I started our podcast with the same thing. I go, Matt, I've been following you as a hitting instructor for
Mhm.
years. He goes, I just love your messaging for hitting to kids, and
Mhm.
did some pitching as well. And I go up till about 2 days ago. I didn't know you were the same group of knuckleheads that I follow on
I
Instagram.
know.
And then I didn't know till a day before I interviewed him that those are all his brothers. They're all
I know.
brothers.
I didn't know that either. I was like,
Yeah,
he was like, "Yeah, I gotta go fly out and do another episode with my brother," and I'm just like, "Who is this man? He
he's
has a
got a
double
whole
life."
nother life.
Yeah.
That's so cool. All right. Amelia, you've been great. I so much appreciate your time on break and you giving me almost an hour today.
Yeah, of
I
course.
end every podcast. I want all my guests to just give a piece of significant advice to my audience. Is there, and it doesn't have to be softball or recruiting related, but is there a piece of advice you'd give to the people that are listening?
Yeah, for me, what was so important was when I was talking about the difference between motivation and discipline. I just think that even giving yourself like a little reward to make it easier to get to that point and just like putting it into your daily routine, I think getting 1% better each day. I know everyone says that, but it is really true.
Yeah.
Rest is also very important. I was not a very good person about getting rest because I'm just like go all the time. Like I'm worried I'm going to forget how to pitch, but it's like riding a bike. Not saying that you need to take 2 week break like all the time. That's a
Right.
little crazy, but every once in a while, I think taking a break to let you rest, you come back better even. So I think that's important too.
I love it. That's great advice. And my daughter, I have a teenager in my house. The
Mhm.
rest is the hardest thing for her. Her brain's going 100 mile an hour. She's got
Mhm.
club volleyball. She's got high school volleyball. She's got all these friends. She's got all the trying to keep straight A's. And then you want to have that time for yourself where you want to get
Mhm.
on your phone and you want to watch a movie. And it's 11 o'clock at night and you got to get
Mhm.
up at 6 a.m. So
Yep.
remembering how important that rest is to who you want to
Mhm.
be the next day is
Right.
really important. So it's great advice. Amelia, you're fantastic. I'm
Thank
so
you.
happy I got to meet you. I'm so impressed. You've got a huge fan. I'm going to be watching a ton of Oregon State softball next year. I'll be cheering for you this year. I hope you get your state championship. Sounds like you guys have a great run ahead of you. And if
Mhm.
there's anything I can ever do for you, don't be afraid to ask. I'm always happy to help.
Thank you so much. I had a good time.
Good. You were great. We'll talk
Thank
soon.
you.
What an inspiring conversation with Amelia Streuber. Her insights on the recruiting process, navigating challenges, and using social media as a platform for positivity and guidance are truly valuable. I also love the relationship she has with her parents and her really close friends. Whether you're an athlete, a parent, or just someone interested in the journey of a dedicated athlete, I hope you found some key takeaways from today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to Significant Coaching Podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to subscribe, rate us, and leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us bring more meaningful content to coaches and athletes everywhere. As always, keep striving to make a significant impact both on and off the field. If you're looking to take your recruiting to the next level, you can schedule a recruiting strategy session with me, purchase my book, or even book me to speak at your school or organization. Just head over to CoachMattRogers.com to learn more. Until next time, take care and stay inspired.